It has been quite a long time since we've done a video of everything that's in development for Marvel Studios and the MCU. So this is an update video, so let's talk about the next decade plus. And yes, because of the weird nature of the relationship with Sony, we have to talk about their films as well. I'm sorry in advance. So by now, you probably know that this is going to be a longer video because we got so much to cover, especially since the last time that I made one of these videos, we barely knew what was coming at us, and Disney Plus just announced some of their upcoming projects. It's been well over 2 years, so we're long overdue. So here we are going to be discussing what comes out for the rest of 2022, 2023, of course all of Phase 5, 6, and beyond. So let's kick it off with our next Marvel Studios project dropping on October 7th. This, of course, is Marvel Studios' long-awaited, long-in-development Werewolf by Night project, which has been in development since, believe it or not, 2005. This essentially is Marvel's new one-shots, which they used to do back in the day, in the old days of the MCU when it first started, and will put the spotlight on the Werewolf by Night, along with it bringing in brand new characters that all contribute to the future, aka the Midnight Suns. This will officially show us Elsa Bloodstone, along with other characters that have been highly anticipated, like Man-Thing. The project is also rumored to connect in some way with the upcoming Blade reboot, and also possibly tie into what will be happening down the road with more Moon Knight. After that, it's going to be a little bit slower up until mid-November, where we are going to be watching Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Easily one of Marvel Studios' most anticipated projects for various reasons. One, of course, is people interested in seeing just how exactly they are going to handle the franchise going forward without the Black Panther himself, Chadwick Boseman, who sadly passed away, but also it brings with us a new Black Panther who has been confirmed to be played by Letitia Wright, aka Shuri, and also it will be bringing in one of Marvel's earliest and oldest heroes, who himself is a mutant, Namor the Submariner. There is a lot riding on this film, not just in relation to the Black Panther brand, but also Marvel Studios as a whole. So it's going to be interesting to see just how big this is and how much cultural impact it has compared to the first. Now, as of the making of this video, the next project still has not been officially announced, at least the release date has not been officially announced, but that's the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, which is officially bookending Phase 4. Very little is known about this project currently, but it is taking place after Thor: Love and Thunder, and will be a bridge that connects directly to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It is also expected to introduce Santa Claus the Mutant into the MCU, so that's going to be interesting. After that, we have our next animated project, which will be Marvel Studios' What If Season 2. Now, What If Season 1 was cut short and they scrapped an episode, and Season 2 is taking quite a bit longer to get in front of us, and there's been some rumors that they did change some directions and try to really make the story a little bit more important going forward, because the first one fell all sorts of short on that end. So the jury is still out. We don't know much about what Season 2 is about, but they did say it will introduce brand new characters that are newer to the MCU, and we've already seen hints of that and concept art. So keep an eye out for more on that really soon. After that, we have our big blowout tentpole film. Coming at us in February is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. All eyes will be on this film because this film will be introducing us to the true menace that is Kang the Conqueror, who of course we last saw in Loki Season 1 as the timeline was sent into despair and into complete chaos. So naturally, things have to play out in a very interesting way here. Kang is being set up as, of course, the big bad for this entire phase and the next one, so here he's got to make an impression. According to various rumors, characters like MODOK and other Quantum Realm shenanigans will be fully explored, and we're going to understand that Quantumania is one of the most important films in the MCU going forward. So, let's see what happens. Now, I do want to stress something before we get to the rest of the list. Some of the upcoming projects just have a listing of spring or fall, meaning that they could come before, after, or overlap during specific films. So if I place it slightly out of order, it's only because of those circumstances. So with that in mind, in spring of 2023, we will be watching The Secret Invasion. This will put Nick Fury front and center for an entire series which deals with the Skrulls officially invading Earth and some sort of mystery that's so big that Nick Fury is out to recruit new recruits, almost like trying to rebuild the Avengers once again. Very little is known about this project other than it is all about espionage and a threat that nobody can see coming, coincidentally enough, besides Nick Fury. The project is rumored to include the villain Super Skrull, who is mostly associated with the Fantastic Four and also tied deeply into the future of the MCU and the past, connecting to various things with Ms. Marvel and the Marvels. The big summer film for Marvel Studios in 2023, coming in May, will be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Again, this is supposed to be the end of this iteration of the Guardians of the Galaxy. We've already heard teases about members of the team not making it out or leaving the team, a completely different composition by the time the film ends, and officially bookending multiple storylines, including ones involving Gamora. The film's primary villain will be the High Evolutionary, and that will obviously connect to Rocket Raccoon and the experiments that happen with him. We will also be traveling to Counter-Earth, where we will see all sorts of Cronenbergian monstrosities walking around like human giraffes and other bizarre mashup chimeras. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see how they pull that off. In summer of 2023, we will also be watching Echo. Echo is rather important as it's picking up multiple plot lines from the end of Hawkeye, while also bringing back Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, who this time will have a patch over his eye as he's been blinded, but also Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, will be making his next appearance here after She-Hulk, and it will directly be setting up the story that will be playing out in Daredevil Born Again. Following Echo, we got another TV series slated for summer of 2023. This being the highly anticipated second season of Loki, which will deal with Kang the Conqueror, but a different version of Kang because there's unlimited Kangs out there all fighting for power now that Sylvie destroyed the one at the end of Loki Season 1. It's rumored that this will deeply connect to what's going on with Quantumania, but also the bigger picture that the MCU is putting together in relation to the Kang Dynasty. There are also rumors that the Squadron Supreme will be appearing in this and working for Kang the Conqueror, possibly having one of the characters played by Henry Cavill. June 2nd of 2023 will also give us Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Previously, it was supposed to be part 1 up until a change happened. This film is going to put a heavy focus on further expanding the Spider-Verse with tons of characters. At one point, they touted over 100. Now, obviously, not all of them are primary characters, but it's going to be interesting to see how they balance it all out here and what they end up doing with it. The first film is one of the absolute best interpretations of Spider-Man and his mythos, and all eyes will be on this because the growing hunger for more of that universe doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Obviously, Sony is putting a lot on this one, and they're riding high on this one, hoping that people get exactly what they want. There are rumors that this film could tie into other animated projects related to Spider-Man, such as expanding the Spider-Verse in cartoons, which they already announced they would be doing, but also tying into Disney's side of it, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we talk about Disney's version of Spider-Man in animation, which is strange and weird. And then in July of 2023, we have The Marvels, which is the sequel to Captain Marvel. This will be uniting 3 different Marvel characters, obviously Monica, Carol, and Kamala. Very little is known about the film right now, but multiple reshoots have happened. It's going to tie directly into the events of Ms. Marvel, and with the recent revelation that Kamala is a mutant, it's going to be interesting to see what they do here and how they play off of this. We don't really know who the villain is right now. There's definitely rumors, and we're definitely expecting this to play into Secret Invasion and also lead us into a giant Avengers team-up. The Marvels 2 is also rumored to include Blue Marvel and possibly even Nova, with a Nova project that's been in development for years now, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Following that, in the fall of 2023, we have Marvel's Ironheart. Ironheart Riri Williams will be picking up the plotline that ends with Black Panther Wakanda Forever and what her character is doing there, and this one will be directly dealing with some interesting elements of the MCU, such as the magical gun-wielding The Hood, and also the primary villain being Ezekiel Stane, the son of the villain of the first Iron Man, Obadiah. This is being positioned as a Iron Man type series that's going to deal with the fallout of Iron Man no longer being there and the world needing and feeling the void left over by Iron Man. Yes, I know, we'll talk about the other Iron character soon, because he will be appearing in this and Secret Invasion, that of course being James Rhodes, aka War Machine. Now remember how I told you we have to talk about Sony? Well, this is where we gotta start talking about it. Officially coming at us on October 6th of 2023 is Sony's Marvel's Kraven the Hunter. Kraven, who will be a friend of the animals, will be hunting the evil man. His brother, the Chameleon, who will not be the same character that we saw in Spider-Man Far From Home, will be in this, and they will also be going up against, according to leaks, Kraven's father. The film at the end will flash forward to reveal that this is officially set in whatever universe Sony Spider-Man films are set in, and reveal that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is out there, and he wants to hunt him. Coming up after that series, in November of 2023, is officially the reboot of Blade. Very little is known about Blade other than the fact that they've been working on this since 2019. It's been a long time coming, and it's finally going to happen. According to rumors, he will be dealing with members of the Midnight Suns, including a new member such as Black Knight, but also possibilities of the Werewolf by Night and Moon Knight showing up seem to be high, according to many people. And while we don't know much else about it, there's some rumors that they're going to be pushing the rating for this to literally be tiptoeing on being R-rated. And there's still some saying that it could be an R-rated film depending on what choices they make during production, because it wouldn't be too late. After that, we got a little bit more of a wait, but then we are getting X-Men 97. Now, X-Men 97 is going to be picking up the plotline from the original X-Men The Animated Series cartoon. Now, what's interesting about this is that they've teased that this will directly somehow connect to the bigger Marvel universe from Marvel Studios, but they're not really revealing much. It's a safe bet that somehow something from the multiverse is going to cross over in there, probably Doctor Strange or something, and they're going to try to play around with those elements to try to really build out a shared universe for everything that has to do with Marvel cartoons, which they've been saying their ultimate goal is to eventually get to that point. This cartoon will see Charles Xavier officially gone and Magneto becoming the de facto villain of the team. A lot of interesting ideas that we know very little about, but it's intriguing and X-Men fans will be all over this, so cannot wait. Now, once again, we find ourselves going back to Sony because on February 16th of 2024, we have Madam Web. This is an interesting one because it's supposed to connect the whole Spider-Verse together and is supposed to be Sony's version of Multiverse of Madness / Secret Wars style deal. We've seen from set photos that multiple Spider-Women will be in this film, and also reportedly young Uncle Ben, who is trying to prevent a young spider fetus from being destroyed by the inheritors by the sound of it. Mama Parker will be running around New York seeking protection while multiple spider people are all trying to make sure that the destiny of the Spider-Verse is safe in the hands of the yet unborn Peter Parker, who is rumored to be the MCU version, played by Tom Holland. After that, sometime in winter/early 2024, we are going to be getting Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Now, this is one of the most unexpected and unique ones because we literally don't know anything. Is this a prequel? Is it going to pick up the plot thread after WandaVision? Are they going to position Agatha as a member of the Thunderbolts that hasn't been revealed? Is there something else going on? You know, what exactly is everything that's happening here? Is she going to take over the town of Westview and make it her own personal prison and try to do the same thing? Again, it's dealing with the occult, so a lot is going to be going on here. After that series, the highly anticipated return of Daredevil with Daredevil Born Again. The first season will consist of 18 episodes, the longest in Disney plus Marvel history, and it's definitely something fans are excited for. Recent reveals have teased a confrontation between Kingpin and Daredevil that we haven't seen the likes of yet, a deep connection to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which Daredevil has lacked up until She-Hulk, the obvious connection and picking up the plot thread left over by Echo, and rumors of multiple characters from the Defenders returning, such as the Punisher and Jessica Jones, are sure to whet everybody's appetite. So all eyes are on this, and we hope that Disney delivers the best Daredevil we've ever seen. After that, we go into Captain America: New World Order, their big summer film releasing in May of 2024. This is going to be a big deal. A brand new Captain America who has the ultimate uphill battle. And he's going to have to really try to use his brains as he does not have super soldier powers. And speaking of using your brains, the leader, the villain from The Incredible Hulk, who is all about intellect, is officially set to be the villain in this piece. There is a lot of hype and anticipation for this film, just seeing what they do next. And when you look at the fact that this film will come out and also overlap with Daredevil Born Again, and also Daredevil Born Again looks like it's going to overlap with the Thunderbolts, there's a lot of interesting possibilities. Which brings me to the next project. As Marvel's Thunderbolts is coming at us in July of 2024. This will be Marvel's answer to The Suicide Squad, and I put that in quotation marks, with a team consisting of 4 super soldiers and 3 other people. That we hope is just a ruse because, the team is kind of lackluster. But to be real with you, I expect that they're not revealing everything because TV series like Daredevil have the potential to introduce characters like Bullseye into the MCU done right, and then also give him the suit and add him to the team. So there's a lot going on over the course of the MCU leading up to the Thunderbolts that can really fill out the ranks and give us a more interesting composition of the team, instead of what essentially looks like Marvel's Black Widow 2. Says the person who actually really liked Black Widow, but I said what I said. After that, we have Spider-Man Freshman Year. This will be canonical to the MCU, but it is a multiverse story. Whatever Kang has done has disrupted the time stream. And officially, this will pick up when Spider-Man shows up from home, but we don't see Tony Stark in his apartment. Instead, it is Norman Osborn. And then the story of how this fits into this brand new multiverse and how Spider-Man ties in with Daredevil and other Marvel characters will be explored here. A lot of fans are excited, including me. I can't wait to see what, for all intents and purposes, is what Marvel Studios would have done had Sony not embargoed characters like Norman Osborn to prevent them from use. So a lot of eyes will be on this animated project. Following that, we have another interesting one, which is Marvel Zombies. This will be adult content. This will not be like What If. This is officially one of the highest rated, most violent things Marvel Studios is doing. They haven't revealed much outside of some concept art, but it looks like it's going to be a bloody good time, and it looks like they're going to use the influence of the Marvel Zombies comic line to their full potential, meaning you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff, and it's definitely not recommended for youngsters. After that, we have an untitled film coming at us on September 6th of 2024. This could be anything. Recently, people have suggested it could be Shang-Chi 2. I'm inclined to believe it's going to be Deadpool 3, because the date that was previously set for February of 2024, which most people believed would be Deadpool 3, was removed. Again, if it is Deadpool 3, which is what I'm placing here, it's going to be a multiversal story. It's also set in the MCU. We know this because they confirmed it. They also teased that we could be getting different versions of MCU characters, meaning that we could be getting the Foxified versions, for, lack of a better term, of characters that have been teased, like Thor, for example, or even the Hulk. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with this, and then how they play up the let's make fun of the MCU, and also let's make fun of how nothing in the Fox universe made sense. Ryan Reynolds will, of course, be returning, and there's definitely already some interest in further expanding this brand, as they've teased it multiple times. So this will effectively be the kickoff to a brand new Deadpool era under Marvel Studios and Disney. Speaking of twists and turns, sometime in 2024, we are supposed to get Sony's El Muerto, the comic character with 2 comic books to his name / appearances. El Muerto is a Mexican luchador wrestler who's fought Spider-Man in a couple of panels. He will be played by the WWE wrestler / celebrity singer Bad Bunny, and this film is expected to tank at the box office.
It's Muerto time.
Okay, Venom, we gotta talk about you as well, I know. So I guess we're gonna place it here. We don't know when it's supposed to come out. It could be in 2024, could be 2025. But the sequel to Venom Let There Be Carnage already has a script. They're actively working on it. Sony needs to keep putting out Spider-Man films, and they've teased that Venom will be fighting Spider-Man in his next appearance. This could very well be the final chapter, and the script posted by Tom Hardy definitely indicates this. But at the same time, we're just not sure. There's been a lot said in regards to how this might connect to the bigger Spider-Verse and some of their bigger ideas and plans, and seeing that play out might just be one of the most insane things that ever happens. Whatever happens though, it definitely looks like this will be ending the official Sony Venom trilogy and freeing up the symbiote to show up in the MCU, as a piece of it was left over. Also rumored for sometime in 2024 is the long in development series on Amazon from Sony TV, which is Silk. Silk focuses on Cindy Moon, who of course is the character of Silk, who has similar spider-like powers. Not a lot has been said about this. It's been in development for quite a long time. Sony's output on TV with TV series like The Boys has been absolutely stellar, so all eyes will be on this. Hopefully, it turns out to be good, if not great. And last but not least, at least for right now, for Spider-Man, we got Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. This is supposed to come out in March of 2024, but I put it somewhere here because I suspect there's probably going to be a delay due to various factors, and also not wanting to drop it less than a year after the first one. I just don't think they've announced the delay just yet, but I'm honestly anticipating it for Sony's sake in terms of having a box office that's not so clustered, because they can't afford to clump so many projects together. So Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse is, as it sounds, going beyond the Spider-Verse. What that means, we don't know. Many people assume this will directly connect to the bigger Marvel universe due to an ongoing working relationship between Disney, Sony, and Marvel Studios. So chances are we're gonna see some other Spider-Man adjacent characters that he frequently works with. Daredevil, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, probably on the table. Now, we don't know the exact date of this, but they've definitely confirmed it's not canceled. It's definitely happening. 100% trust us, bro. Marvel's Armor Wars, starring Don Cheadle as War Machine. It's been a long time coming. It's in development. This is supposed to be a spin on Armor Wars from the comics, where all sorts of Iron Man tech has fallen into the wrong hands. The man that feels responsible for this is James Rhodes, aka War Machine, best friend of Tony Stark, aka Iron Man. Somebody needs to answer for all this technology, and War Machine is going to once again be suiting up, and he's going to be at the front of the line. The rumors have suggested that this will be something that's super high budget, We're gonna see James Rhodes deliver the best action that War Machine has to date, and rumors have suggested that Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, could be suiting up in a War Machine armor, just like he did in the comics. And in those comics, he also chased down people with Iron Man tech. So maybe there's something here. And finally, to officially bookend 2024, we have the highly anticipated reboot of the Fantastic Four. Matt Shakman of WandaVision fame is officially set to direct this piece. There's been plenty of rumors for years that this will be a period piece and an origin story set in the 60s. That's, at least in part, been discredited by now by saying it's definitely not an origin. Obviously, this is coming out right before the next big Avengers film, and their proximity and connection to Kang the Conqueror is very apparent in the comics, as one of their long descendants ends up becoming a version of Kang. This could literally tie into the Kang Dynasty in an interesting way, and its proximity to that film really makes it seem like it's going to. Whatever they have in store for us here, there is a definitive uphill battle because the Fantastic Four brand is so damaged, it's almost impossible to make people care about this specific team. But let's hope for the best, and let's hope that the Fantastic Four delivers. The primary villain rumors for this one are Mole Man, but people are also suspecting that it could be Doctor Doom, because allegedly the post-credit scene for Wakanda Forever will introduce the King of Latveria to the MCU. Now, in 2024, bridging to 2025, while we don't have exact dates, I'm just going to talk about a couple of Sony projects that are in development in this one section rapidly. There is The Sinister Six, Nightwatch, Jackpot, unknown project by Olivia Wilde, which may or may not be co-produced by Marvel Studios, Untitled Robert Orci project, which may or may not be animated, we don't know, and other projects that they're developing, such as Mysterio and Aunt May. Yes, believe it or not, they're still considering something with Aunt May. Maybe it'll be a spin-off from Madam Web. Who really knows? It's all clumped in here because there's nothing more on any of them. Now we do have to take a slight step back into 2024, as fall of 2024 still has 3 unknown projects. We literally have no idea what these are. There's just placeholder empty slots. So this could really be anything. So we're going to talk about the upcoming projects that are in development and where I would place them. So first up, I think in fall of 2024, you have to get to something like the Wonder Man series. We already know that that's in development. We already know that Ben Kingsley will be returning, and this series has been in development for quite a long time. Although there's no announcement just yet, this seems like the best fit for it. To release this before Fantastic Four and of course Kang Dynasty, and it's supposed to be a series that's more comedic and focusing on the celebrity life in the MCU. To me, this honestly feels like a perfect spot for it, a series that's different than what you would expect that releases before we ramp up to the insanity that's coming from more Kang destruction. Then we got another series. Here I'm going to place the Wakanda series being made by Ryan Coogler, which is supposed to allegedly focus on the Dora Milaje. Now, we don't have any more details on this. There's been some rumors that it could have changed directions, so we really don't know what's going on. We just know it's in development, it's been announced to be in development, and something will be happening with it. Whatever that is, again, take a pick. Your best guess may or may not be correct because we literally don't have any more details. My guess would be that this series would start production before they get to Black Panther 3, so this way I could see it falling in somewhere in fall of 2024. Now again, there is the other random winter 2024 release, which honestly I think this might be one of those placeholders that just gets kind of scrubbed off of the upcoming release slate, just because there seems to be a lot going on and I don't think they're going to sit on it and hold it. So for that one, I'm just saying nothing. It's going to get reshuffled around or moved as there's inevitable delays coming. Now, there is one more thing I haven't talked about yet. A lot of you are probably questioning why, and I'm guessing it's going to release on Christmas of 2024. Since Fantastic Four is November 8th, I think releasing this right in the middle of December or possibly even the week of Christmas, it's a good time to release a follow-up to Spider-Man. Whatever Spider-Man 4 is, I think this is the place. Again, Sony struck gold with Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think partially, obviously, it's due to a great date, but also it's due to the whole multiversal thing. Now, the reason I would place it here is because I would save that one Spider-Man cameo in live action for the Fantastic Four, have him interact with them in their film, and then have him team up with somebody like Daredevil that winter. Again, it's right after we've already had Daredevil Born Again, and then you have the Fantastic Four. Again, we know Spider-Man will be going more street level, so tossing Daredevil in here and having them do some sort of mission, maybe even around Christmas time to kind of theme it, in my opinion, would be perfect. I personally love the whole feel of New York City during Christmas. It's one of the things that's very unique, and when you think of Christmas in America, that's what you think of. Having these two characters team up on a smaller scale Spider-Man film, releasing it for Christmas, and also having Peter Parker find essentially a new family, right? By getting back into the superhero spotlight, interacting with Murdoch, and then ending a film on a good note with him eating lunch or dinner with his newfound family, Foggy, Karen, whoever. I think it's a good way to handle it, and it's a good way to reintroduce Spider-Man back into what his status quo is after he makes a cameo in the upcoming Fantastic Four, which again would be about 6 to 7 weeks before this film. I think you end 2024 with Spider-Man, because 2025 gets even more insane. So going into 2025, we got our first untitled film on February 14th of 2025. What this could be, take a guess, because there is so many projects in development. Again, one could say this could be a Deadpool 3 spot, which honestly could work. But then the film is more than 3 years away, and that's kind of a interesting, wait, really? 3 years? So I think it's got to be something a little bit different here. And again, we know they've been working on Nova. If I was to drop Nova anywhere, it would be right before the Kang Dynasty, so you can bring the Nova Corp in there. You can use them also building off of what happens in Guardians in the couple previous years and establish your new galactic, police force, essentially. To me, this would perfectly fit in here, so you can finally get Nova into the giant lineup scene of all the heroes that's going to be happening in the next two Avengers films. So Nova in February of 2025 makes sense to me because of also the connection to the alleged Nova Disney Plus series that's being developed alongside of it that would focus on Sam Alexander. So I think you honestly add that in here because it just makes sense if it's true. Now, don't forget, we also got 3 other shows we got to add throughout this year. So I'm going to guess that we're going to have some renewals that join the ranks here. First up in the spring of 2025, possibly crossing over or slightly overlapping with the Kang Dynasty, or maybe ending right before it, I would have Moon Knight Season 2. This, to me, honestly works. It makes sense. They left plenty of storyline elements and things that we can expect that they honestly can't focus on and resolve when it comes to giant crossovers. So Moon Knight needs a sequel season. I think this is where you place that sequel season because it just fits. There's a lot to explore with Jake. There's a lot more to explore with the gods and how that can all tie into whatever Kang has been doing. And also, you could deal with the fact that Kang is in fact King Tut. So that ties into our next film, which comes out on 5/2/25. This, of course, is May, and this is Avengers The Kang Dynasty. This is the big one. This kicks off the first time ever getting 2 Avengers films in 1 year. It's going to be absolutely massive. This is supposed to be Kang shows up, and he's going to show you why he's finally stepping forth and battling everything. Everybody. He is here to conquer, and he's not going to be stopped. This will be a union of everything that's come before, although maybe not as big as something like Avengers The Secret Wars will be, because it can't be. It's got to be like Infinity War to Endgame. Endgame has the bigger payoff at the end. So here, it kind of makes sense. And there's also the specific reason that I placed Moon Knight right before it, because at the end, you can reveal that, hey, guess what? Kang was Tutankhamun. It perfectly fits in. So now we got another TV series that's going to drop. And my guess is that this one will be okay, we got to slow down a bit. Let's tell another personal tale of get back to normal. I suspect here we get Miss Marvel Season 2. We leap forward a couple of years, and maybe she's in her senior year. Maybe she's going off to college. Again, there's a little bit of time here, and we're going to deal with the fallout of everything that's happened so far, and also what exactly is going on Earth. You can maybe tie in some of the multiversal wackiness that's happened with the Kang Dynasty. Maybe you start tying in a little bit more mutants and a little bit more Inhumans, trying to bridge that gap because of the incursions and everything that's going on. I think this honestly perfectly fits right here, and it's a slow, nice series to have as kind of okay, let's relax before we completely ruin everything with over-the-top action and killing off some of your favorite new characters. But now we get back to another film, which is releasing on 7/25/25. My guess is that this one will be Shang-Chi and the Wreckage of Time. Again, the director of the Kang Dynasty directed Shang-Chi, and he's going to be directing Shang-Chi 2. To me, personally, it fits perfectly right here, especially with the registered trademark like Wreckage of Time. It implies to me time is fragmented, fractured, broken. The little pocket dimensions that we saw, maybe those are safe up until they get exposed to the outside elements. You can have a lot of fun here, tell a crazy story about maybe multiple different Iron Fists or martial artists throughout the ages that you want to toss in here. You could bring back the Mandarin from a different time period or a different multiverse. There's a lot to explore here, and I also think it perfectly fits in with another project, which I believe will also drop alongside somewhere in 2025, maybe here, maybe slightly earlier, but that's, of course, the 10 Rings TV series, which again is in development, same director, and it's supposed to focus on Shang-Chi's sister leading the new 10 Rings. Well, what better way to introduce the whole concept of the 10 Rings now maybe having to support what's good for everybody, and that's putting aside your differences and coming together to fight as a family because Kang has ruined everything and the secret war is coming. To me, this honestly perfectly works right here. So that summer, it's the combo, Shang-Chi 2 and the 10 Rings series. And it's important that we explore more about what the 10 Rings are because we'll get to that when we get to Secret Wars. Then there is another series that's supposed to drop sometime before the Secret Wars. We have no idea what it could be. Honestly, take any pick because there's so much that's going on here. And while there's no date for this one, it's just rumored, I'm going to leave it off the docket because I think you only drop 2 things in the middle of Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. Like I said, maybe 3 because 1 overlaps, or slightly just right there next to it, that being Miss Marvel. So you don't want to do too much before you get to Secret Wars because people will then complain that everything in between them is pointless. If you have 2 projects dealing with Shang-Chi, like I said, it kind of works here. And then we get to the end of 2025. November 7th is Secret Wars. Now, the 10 Rings are rather important weapons. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, was rather concerned with what these are because they seem to be, well, strange. Nobody really knows anything about them. So how exactly do they work? How exactly did Mandarin stay young? Was that something related to these rings? Also, clearly, the energy of these rings and the fact that they're weapons has to connect to the bangle that we see that Miss Marvel has. And Kang the Conqueror collects weapons so he can defeat everybody. He's more about using weapons and manipulating time than he is about throwing fists. Again, this to me fits. If Kang gets his hands on the 10 Rings, you can see how this ties directly into Shang-Chi and also the 10 Rings. But also Miss Marvel, which I said I would drop this year because you want to further explore the whole thing with the bangle, and you could end that with the, well, Kang is coming to get that from you. On top of this, you're also dealing with some of the elements like, for example, the Nova Corps and how they built their power. Are they going to go the route where they actually use whatever remains of a certain Infinity Stone? Does it tie into Loki in the multiverse? Is the fragmenting of the multiverse now going to result in the Nova Corp being powered somehow else? Kang is still going to come after them. That's why I would have those projects back there to all build up to Secret Wars right here, because Kang is here. Now, I don't think Kang is the primary villain of this. I think we're going to find out that it's actually going to be Kang and possibly Doctor Doom, and this whole thing will be run by somebody like, maybe not the Beyonder, but maybe like the Living Tribunal, which we've already seen plenty about them. So when it's all said and done, I think what you need to do is set up Secret Wars to be a soft reboot of the entire MCU. From the ground up, we're going to reshuffle the timeline. We're going to say that one sacred timeline has been restored, and this is it now. Everything that happens here. And this is how you play it off now. You've effectively killed off everything in the past, and you reforged a new path forward that opens up telling new stories, flashbacks going back, saying, oh, this happened. You just didn't see it because of this time ripple. Again, it's happened in comics. Even the CW has pulled it off to shockingly great effect. So I think Secret Wars will officially end with the restructuring of the sacred timeline, which then also leaves a couple things that I haven't talked about yet that I'm going to talk about here, but I don't know where I would place them. The biggest one for me is Doctor Strange 3. Obviously, dealing directly with incursions is rather important, but I don't know where you place it. In my opinion, I think you could possibly place that film in 2025 as well. I think you can make room for a early 2025 release in around March prior to the Kang Dynasty, and this is where you drop Doctor Strange 3, you deal with the whole Dormammu threat and the incursions, you deal with more multiverse, and you have Doctor Strange very much in that film learn about what's going on with Kang, also have him meet characters like Loki and Sylvie, meet other multiversal characters, and assemble a team that's going to show up in the Secret Wars or the Kang Dynasty to fight everybody, because he's put together a multiverse Illuminati, that being the key word here, and he's also recruited Deadpool. So now you kind of have a through line that brings you through the entire year. So now that we've done all that, we are officially at the end of 2025. Believe it or not, that's it. That's the phases. But don't you worry just yet, because alleged leaks and placeholders by Disney for the next couple of years have potentially revealed 4 films for 2026. So first up, let's talk about February 13th of 26. My guess is that this will be Celestials End of Time, a sequel to the Eternals, but obviously not called Eternals, called Celestials End of Time. I think this will be the epilogue to Secret Wars, hence the name End of Time. And I think this is going to be a insanely high concept idea that's going to completely divide the fan base, just like the Eternals. And I think the title End of Time tells you all you need to know with that registered trademarks. I literally think that we are going to see what happens at the end of time, where we can introduce characters like possibly the Guardians 3000, and also have all sorts of time traveling shenanigans, and this dealing with the official end of time in the old timeline before the Secret Wars. This is kind of like what happens in the far-flung future with characters like Eternals that can live indefinitely. You're literally going to focus on what it means to meet your death at the end of the universe. Again, it's an insane high concept out there idea, but I hope that's what the Eternals continues to do. For better or for worse, I think you need this. Then on May 1st of 2026, again, it's an unknown Disney date, but if we just follow the pattern, early May is always a Marvel film. I think this is where you gotta make a statement. This is the new MCU. We're gonna give you a project you've been waiting for quite a long time. This is gonna be World War Hulk, coming at you right in that prime summer spot. This is going to be an all-out Hulk warfare film. We're talking about, with a reshaped universe, planet Sakaar is in major chaos due to a power struggle. A Hulk from the future has decided to claim residence of this. Yes, the Maestro is here. This is his terrain. He's got to fight Hulk's son. Also Red Hulk, Atom Bomb, Abomination, She-Hulk, multiversal versions of characters. Maybe you bring back Ang Lee's Hulk and say he's been trapped here from the multiverse because everybody's got to survive. And of course, the Hulk himself. This is going to be one of the biggest films Marvel ever produces. All-out war, non-stop action. This is what the Hulk fans have been asking for, and they're going to deliver. You're going to get something completely insane and unexpected that's all results of what happens in Secret War. Next up, on July 24th of 2026, we got another film. This is the one everybody's been waiting for. This is where we drop the Uncanny X-Men, or just simply Marvel's X-Men. This is where we officially have them debut. They are a big summer film, and we are going to establish the history of mutants in the MCU. But due to the fragmenting and the restoration of the timeline, yeah, they've kind of been here all along. But now we gotta tell you where exactly they've been because you've never seen this. Again, because every single timeline and multiverse has been reshaped into one sacred timeline after the Secret War. We're going to get a little bit of a backstory. We're going to get some flashbacks to Captain America working with Wolverine. We're going to tell you about what happened with Logan. We're going to tell you about how these X-Men were there. And here's some of the ways they contributed to other events that you haven't seen. Now that we've caught you up with it, here is the new X-Men. Here is your young team of heroes that are going to carry you for the next 10 years or so of the MCU. You got Charles Xavier here, you got Magneto on the other side, and you got battle lines being drawn because, let's be real, humanity just suffered another massive, giant war that they had to witness. Tons of people wiped out again. Now mutants are coming up and humanity's still recovering. They don't like difference. They don't like these people who look different and sound different. Honestly, it perfectly fits here to pick up off of what Kang has done. So, X-Men, summer of 26. And the final release is on November 6th of 2026. Again, another film. Right here, I would place The Midnight Suns. We are talking a handful of years after Blade, and also a second season of Moon Knight, which I've talked about. And you can also bounce this off of something that I haven't mentioned yet that's also going to fall into 2026 when I talk about the TV shows that would go here, which I believe there will be 4 of. But The Midnight Suns perfectly to bookend 2026 and reveal, yeah, the occult is here. We're not afraid of this. We got November now set for darker style stories for the MCU every other year. We're comfortable with it. Here's Blade. Here's Moon Knight. Here's Man-Thing, here's Werewolf by Night. Oh, and hey look, here's Ghost Rider, who you just saw in his own series. Which brings me to talk about the TV series coming in 2026. So by all accounts, Marvel Studios is going to be making 3 to 4 TV series per year. This doesn't include animation. From this point on out, I'm not talking about animation at all. I'm just going to be talking about the live action stuff because this video will then be about an hour and 20 minutes if we do animation as well. I think here, you officially kick off the year with a Ghost Rider series in spring of 2026. You can deal with the fallout of the last Doctor Strange because you can also now introduce that Mephisto has been here and he relates to Ghost Rider. Also, Ghost Rider bouncing off of what we saw with Secret Wars, where we saw Ghost Rider appear, or possibly multiple of them. Now you can go into his story, what exactly happened with the character, and building off of various things that went on with the occult and the darker side of Marvel. You could also tell the lineage of the Ghost Rider, which, well, honestly goes into literally like millions of years ago, so it perfectly places itself here, with a rich history to explore. The second series I would have in 2026 would be She-Hulk Season 2. This releasing after World War Hulk, which she's a part of, and showing us how exactly does Jen get back to her life after just going through the Kang Dynasty, Secret Wars, and also World War Hulk. She's now on a completely different level. And who knows what the world looks like, and is it ready to accept her back after seeing everything that's happened? Are superheroes still being questioned? Do people still trust superheroes? How's she going to deal with the law? this is where you place that. Third series in the summer of 2026. This is where I would do, bear with me here, the Heroes for Hire. The MCU needs heroes willing to work for the little people because problems are popping up everywhere. There's more mutants now. There's more heroes and villains everywhere. Luke Cage and Iron Fist get back together, and this is it. This is going to be them teaming up as the Heroes for Hire in New York. Again, you're dealing with the fallout still of Secret Wars. We still got to sit and explore the new world and kind of take it back a little, right? See what's going on. What's the new status quo? Just like Season 4, it's got to be a fresh new chapter, new introductions, new concepts, new characters, new ideas, new teams. Nothing works better than the Heroes for Hire to put you at a street level and give you, obviously, a different perspective. Also, you bring Daredevil into this. You bring him back before Daredevil Born Again Season 2. Perfectly works for me here. And speaking of Daredevil, I would end 2026 with Season 2 of Daredevil Born Again. This would essentially be more like a Defender-style season. Heroes for Hire, they're joining. Jessica Jones, sure. Couple other Marvel heroes, maybe Moon Knight joins in. Why not? You toss them in here, and you're ending 2026 with the combo of the Midnight Suns on film and the Defenders soft rebooting in Daredevil Born Again Season 2. And since by then I suspect the deal with Sony will have gotten even stronger and better, this is where you also toss Spider-Man into the team. Make him have an appearance for 1 or 2 episodes, you use Tom Holland, and you perfectly build out more of the New York street side of things. So now officially we've ended 2026. From this point on out, there is no more dates for anything Marvel Studios or Disney, unless you count like random Avatar and Star Wars placeholders, which those don't belong here, so they don't matter. So from this point on, we are just talking about potential sequels and what they could be doing. Honestly, I think you're starting to look at things like a Captain America 5. Obviously, things that are follow-ups like Blade 2, a Marvel's sequel, a new Guardians of the Galaxy. We're talking about exploring things like sequels to Fantastic Four, which, make no mistake, those are obviously happening. We're talking about a Deadpool 4 and a Deadpool 5. We're talking about another entry for Black Panther. Black Panther 3 obviously is perfect, and that's gonna happen. You're talking about sequels to more TV shows. Hawkeye Season 2. I mean, I'll talk about animation here as well, but follow-up seasons, obviously, to freshman year. We already know that's happening, sophomore year, and it's probably going to take a couple years to get out because of the development of it. Sequel to X-Men 97. I also think they're going to expand on that by doing like a Spider-Man 97 or 98, which focuses on the Spider-Man from that continuity, the animated one making a return. I think that would honestly be pretty interesting. And now you also got to rebuild the new Avengers, Avengers Academy. There's also been registered trademarks like Avengers Eternity Wars. So again, I think you're going to have to do at least something with Thor and Eternity. So Thor 5 somewhere in here building up to Avengers Eternity Wars makes sense to me, because your next big step is going to be something like Eternity. It's not as big as Secret Wars, but again, you're going to need a union of all these characters coming together. Also, registered trademarks for things like Runaways, New Era, Black Knight Origin has been spotted, and Sam Wilson Captain America. So again, this all kind of works together. And I personally think you start building up the next big villain that's going to cross over with everything. And my guess is by the time we get to X-Men 2, a Wolverine film, and we're building up the new threat, my guess is the big bad for the upcoming next phase or 2, or maybe even 3. Maybe they go back to, we're going to build this up for a very long time. You again are going to play with time travelers, destruction, but this time you're going to introduce that Apocalypse and Days of Future Past are coming to the MCU. And instead of being a singular X-Men story, you do, which is Avengers versus X-Men. At the end of that, you tease what's coming. The ultimate blow-off to everything will be Avengers and X-Men, Days of Future Past. So you take the Days of Future Past idea and you make it an entire universe, entire earth-shattering giant event that pits all of the MCU heroes currently against Apocalypse. So that is effectively my big blow-off to massive build-up over 2026, 27, and 28. You officially end it right around there, and you do the big Days of Future Past. You got another big one out there. It's a big deal. Everybody's come together. And then you, of course, got to follow up with sequels to new properties we just talked about and returning properties. More Fantastic Four, more Spider-Man. I also believe Spider-Man will have another multiversal film that ties into everything. And, of course, bridging all the Sony stuff in with the MCU to make it kind of make sense. A new Venom story set in the MCU for Spider-Man 5, I think would be perfect, especially after Peter gets the black suit in Secret Wars. So that's it, guys. That's roughly the next decade of the MCU.